Okay, so for the next video in our series, we're going to look at setting up DMX within qPlayer. DMX is historically one of those things that's a little bit tricky to get set up, and what we've tried to do with qPlayer is make it as simple as possible to add fixtures and scenes into your shows within qPlayer. You have to do a little bit of groundwork before we set up some things in qPlayer. The first thing you need to do is, with regard to the fixtures that you want to use, you have to have a plan first of all. So, for example, what we're going to be looking at today is I've got two fixtures. One of them is a moving head wash light to show some movement features that we've got within the app. One of them is just a sort of basic LED power can. Just a couple of fixtures just to sort of get started with showing how it all works and how you bring it together within a show. So the two fixtures that we've got are a Pro L fixture and a Chauvet DJ slim bar. And although we have a library of fixtures within qPlayer that's currently got over 600 fixtures within it, some fixtures aren't within that. That's not a problem because it's very easy to add our own fixtures into it. The simplest way to add a fixture, if we don't have it already in the library, is to sort of pre-prepare ourselves with the DMX implementation chart from within the manual. So here, for example, we've got the Pro L PLLED MLW18 DMX channel values from the manual. I've just taken a screenshot of the page just so we've got the details with regard to that fixture and its settings when in 5-channel mode. A lot of DMX fixtures can be in multiple modes: 5 channels, 12, 15, 25. You can basically choose several different modes that suit your workflow. For the sake of today's demo, I'm just going to be basically using 5-channel modes for this fixture. And then for the Chauvet DJ pars, we've got 12-channel mode. Again, I've just taken the channel list from the manual, taken a screenshot of that, and I've got it saved on the desktop as a file that we can use in a minute. So basically the groundwork before we get started is you have to know which fixtures you've got that you want to add into the program, how many of each you've got. Today it's just one of each. You need to know which channel mode the fixtures are in, and also which address they're set to. So for this example, we've got one of the Pro L lights that's in 5-channel mode set to 1, DMX channel 1, and we've got the slim par H6 USB in 12-channel mode set to 6, which is the next available channel after the Pro L will be added. So once you've got your plan of your lights, so you've got the lights you want to add, you've got them configured in a certain mode, and you've got them addressed, ready to go, then we're ready to start having a little look at adding the lights to qPlayer. So where we start with that, I'm just going to load up qPlayer. We're going to start from the show that we ended up with after the first video in the series, where we added multi-track audio, video, and auto cue. So if we just resume that show, if we remind ourselves what we were looking at, if we go into show mode, it was one track. If I hit play, we can see what we had.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So we had a 6-channel audio track, video, and also auto cue. So if I just stop that one, come back out of show mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to add DMX. So we go up to the file menu and click to go into the DMX editor. We're going to need to allow qPlayer to find devices on our network, because the next part of the setup is to make sure that the interface we have to connect to the lights is able to talk to the program. So we allow this here. on that, what I'm using here today is I've got a MacBook which is connected to a CalDigit dock that basically provides, it enables to do everything we want to do in qPlayer. So it enables us to connect multi-track audio, it's got some HDMI outputs, it's got an Ethernet port which we're using today for this demo. We don't necessarily need it just for, if we're just going to use DMX, you can just use any Ethernet interface. But what is crucial is how that's set up. So first of all, you'll have your Ethernet port connected to your DMX interface, your ArtNet interface. And for this demo, we're using the Chauvet DMX AN2, which is a very cost-effective unit. It works very well. It's got a couple of universes. And how that ships by default, it's got a certain IP address and subnet mask that is very important with how we set up our computer. So we'll put the details on the screen of the details for this. What that means is that when we set up our networking on a computer, we head up to here, up to system settings. Within network, we choose the port that's connected to the DMX, the AN2. If we tap into there, so as it comes from the factory, the DMX AN2 is set with the IP address 2.0.0.1 with a subnet mask of 255.0.0.0. We need to make sure that our address that we set on our computer isn't the same, because it would conflict, but it lives in the same IP range. So basically what we do is we set the Mac to be an IP address of 2.0.0.2. The subnet mask will match 255.0.0.0. There isn't a router, we don't need to worry about that. We don't need to worry about DNS servers. Literally the only two settings you need to be sure about are, and have set, are the IP address and the subnet mask. So once you've got that set and the DMX AN2 is connected, we're ready to start having a little look within qPlayer. So I'll close that one down. We pop into Setup Wizard, and we're presented with this screen. Now, this first screen, what it's doing is basically we're choosing our protocol, which the AN2 is set up for ArtNet. It can also do SACN, but we're not using that today. We support both. By default, the AN2 ships with ArtNet. So what we're doing here is we're just confirming that the node has the address of 2.0.0.1, which is how it ships. So if you don't change anything within that, that's fine. It's currently saying not connected. Now, some ArtNet interfaces are able to be discovered on the network, so you can scan it and find it, but this one, being a slightly more cost-effective unit, doesn't support that. So the simplest way to make sure we're up and running is if we just quickly send a test packet. We can see that that's sending, what it's doing is sending a full signal to channels 1 to 4. So if you've got a power can on DMX channel 1, you'll see the light output. We've just seen some movement because it's moved the pan, the tilt, and turn some lights on. So we can see that we've got some action from the app through the interface to the lights. So we know that we've got a route for our DMX data to get to our lights. So the next step, now we know we've got it connected and it's all working, and as a result of that, it's now aware that it's connected, which is great, so we can move on. So we click next. So first of all, we have a library that supports a lot of different fixtures, but I've deliberately chosen 2 fixtures today that aren't within the library to show you how easy it is to add them into the program. So, I mean, we can have a little look if we want to, if we remind ourselves what we've got. We've got one of these from Pro, which is quite an old fixture now, so it would be unlikely to be supported, so we can have a little search of that. It's not there. That's fine. While we're looking at the list, we might as well check the other one. We've got a SlimPar H6 USB, so let's copy that and have a little search for that. No, it's not there. Neither of those are in the library. It's worth noting that once we add something to the library with our upload system, that will then become part of the library. So if you need to add any more in the future, it's already going to be there. You won't need to go through this step again. So if I cancel out of there, What we're going to do is we're going to add it. So we're scanning the manual. So this is where we go back to the files that we've created from the manual for the light fixture itself. So for example, for our first one, what this is doing is it's taking the manual or the image that we've got with our description, and it's going via Gemini to build a custom preset for qPlayer. So if I just walk you through it. So let's go for our first fixture. We've got a ProL PLLED So I'll just copy that in 5-channel mode. So if I pop over to here, we'll pop that in there, and I'll write in 5-channel mode. And now I'll go to attach the manual. So we've got that on the desktop there. I'll attach that one there. Then what we do is we simply scan the manual. So wait 10 or 15 seconds or so while it does the search and contacts Google to do a Gemini search. Now, what we're then presented with next is we can see here that it's discovered that from reading the implementation chart, we've got pan on channel 1, tilt on 2, dimmer strobe on 3, color on 4, and 5 isn't used. So if that doesn't look like you expect it to, we can have a little just double check there. Then you can rescan it again. Sometimes with AI, it won't get it right, but most of the time it does. If we want to be sure that it is right, what we've got here now is we've got a little test facility. So we've imported that. We've only got one of the units, so that's all we need for the moment. What we can do is, if we just hit the test button, we can see that what it'll do is it'll rotate through red, green, and blue, and full, and it'll also give a little nod as well. So we can see from that the fixture we've built with our setup process is successfully working, and we can see that from the app we're able to trigger the light. So that's great. So yes, that one did it. So we're happy that's there. We know the address is 1. Literally, we then add that to the rig. So we've got one light added to the rig. Then we're looking at the Chauve DJ LED par. So similar kind of thing again. We don't have it in the library. We already know that. What have we got? We've got a Chauve DJ Slim par H6 USB in 12-channel mode. So pop back to here. Enter the name. We can add 12-channel mode. We'll attach the manual. There we go, and then we go and scan the manual. And Gemini will do its thing. So 10 to 15 to 20 seconds later, we'll be presented, hopefully, all being well, with the with this. It's also worth noting that you might be thinking, how is this talking to the internet? Basically, we've got it set up so it can talk to Google from the app, but it would obviously need to be connected to the internet. So the computer is still connected via Wi-Fi to the internet, even though we've got a DMX AN2 connected to the Ethernet port. That's only doing the DMX out. It's not affecting anything to do with our internet connectivity, so that's still there. It's still working. We've now pulled in all the channels. That looks good from what we've seen before, so the quickest way to check if it's okay is we just click the test button. There we go. We've got bright, red, green, blue, and it'll go around again. Bright, red, green, blue. So we're good. We know that we've got one of those and it's working. So there's only one of them again. So yes, that one did it. The address has already selected channel 6 because that was the next available channel after the 5 channels of the first fixture, and we click add to rig. So now we've got our 2 fixtures and we're there. So what we need to do, we haven't got any more to add at this point. If we had other fixtures in the future, we can add them in the same way. Just go through the setup wizard again and add them to the rig. But for now, we've got our 2 fixtures. So what do we do next? We go through next here, and we'll get presented with a little overview. So it's showing you the universe that you've got them in, which is 0 by default. We're using 17 of the available 512 channels. And we can see there that the moving head, the ProL, is there, occupying 1 to 5. And then the wash light is, the Parcan is just after that, with its 12 channels. We could retest again here, but because we've just done it, we know they're working. So literally that's just kind of an overview before we step into the next part of the process. So what we're doing now is, now we've set up the lights within qPlayer, we want to give ourselves something to work with. So scenes are different settings for lights that you've got connected. So what we've got here is some sort of default scenes to get us started. A blackout, which you'll always need. There's an ambient, sort of walk in between sets scene. There's a warm song, energy, party. And because we've got some moving lights, it's generating some movement as well, which we can change later if we want to. But for now, this will give us some scenes we can work with. So if we just pop done, we're now presented into the DMX editor. And over on the right hand side, you can see we've got scenes. So if we just click through the scenes, we can actually see what we've got. And we can see those scenes working, the lights that we've got connected. So if we click party, we can see we've got some movement and some colour there. Song cool, we've got some cool colours, slightly slower movement. Obviously any of the movement you can change later. Anything can be changed later once it's all set up. There's all sorts of things that can be done. Song energy, there's another preset. Song warm. If we go back to blackout, what you can also do if you want to is you can see on the output monitor what's happening. So at the moment, because we're on blackout, there's nothing. We pop back over to party. Let's just disappear behind there. There we go. We can see the activity that's happening there. You can look at it via fixture. It'll show you the values. Several things you can do. You can copy. You can look at each different one. You might not necessarily need to use this, but it's good to have it there just to keep an eye out on what's going on. So we'll close that one down. So now we've got our lights set up with qPlayer, and we've got some scenes. You might think to yourself now, great, how can I add that to the song that we created earlier? So this is all created, it's all saved by default. We jump out of there. Now if we go back and select Live Forever, when we're not in show mode, we're just in edit mode still here. If I right click that, open in Studio. If you remember from the first video, we're presented with our timeline for the song. And we've got the video that was there, the prompt, we've got our different individual tracks. Now we're adding DMX, so what we're going to do is add a DMX lane. And then what we do is we go to the DMX lane, if we right click, we can insert a scene. So now, say we pick our song, cool, pop that in there. And then you can choose the duration, so you could potentially have multiple scenes that switch at different points of the song, or we could simply just drag it to the full song, beginning and end. And then once we've done that, we need to readjust the scene that we've got stored in the set list, in the playlist. So now we just republish it back to set list, click that one, and it will say that it's previously published. It'll overwrite everything, that's fine. We'll click that. Give ourselves a few seconds for it to render the cue back to the playlist. We'll click done. Now if we go back into show mode, and if we hit play,
1 2 3 4 2 2 3 4.
you can see that we've now got the scene that we created assigned to the song, playing along with the song. We've got the video, we've got the auto cue, we'll just stop that one, we see it's working, it's great. So basically that's a very basic overview of how to add some lights via DMX into qPlayer. We've got some other demos planned with a lot more lighting, but hopefully this will give you the basis to get started with using DMX within qPlayer. Thank you for watching.